Welcome to week 2 of our study of the Gospel of Matthew. This week we're going to be looking at the Beatitudes, Matthew 5, 1 to 12. Good evening and welcome to week 2 of Matthew's Gospel through photographs and poetry. This week we're going to look at one of Matthew's central texts, the Beatitudes. Matthew is interested in giving larger blocks of Jesus' teaching, and the Beatitudes begin the first one, chapters 5 to 7. He is speaking to the crowd, and he says that he doesn't want to abolish the law and the prophets, but to fulfill them. He is reassuring his Jewish audience that the roots of the faith are in the Jewish community, but there is a new and exciting revelation happening in the person and ministry of Jesus. The sermon is principally about principles and attitudes. And in the Bible, mountains are places of divine revelation. So Jesus gives the teaching himself. It's not like when Moses received the teaching on Mount Sinai. Jesus himself is giving it in a dynamic and engaging way. He's teaching for the crowd, and there are 8 blessings in the first person and 1 in the first person plural. And that blessing formula is found in the Psalms. If you think of Psalm 1 in the wisdom tradition, there is that sense of how do we celebrate what is good, how do we shun what is evil. The wisdom tradition is very much part of the Beatitudes as we look at each one in its order. In the wisdom tradition, the reward is immediate. In the New Testament, it's in the fullness of God's time as we look forward to the eschaton. The things that the Beatitudes talk about are the promise of God's kingdom. And those are framed in terms of comfort, inheriting the land, satisfaction, obtaining mercy, and seeing God and being called sons and daughters of God. The Beatitudes sketch the attitudes that the Matthean Christians should manifest, and they allude also to the suffering that they have endured. The crowd is normally a framework to teach the whole people of Israel. The mention of the disciples does not exclude the crowd. As we've said earlier, Jesus is teaching on the mountain. Just as Moses received God's commandments on Mount Sinai, Jesus reveals God's will on the Mount of Beatitudes. In Matthew, important events in the life of Jesus take place on mountains. The temptations, the feeding of the 4,000, the transfiguration, his arrest, and his final commission. He opened his mouth, the text says. He made a public declaration. He was making his manifesto, his message, clear to people. The word blessed is a divine action. It's common in the wisdom tradition, particularly in the book of Proverbs. To be blessed in the New Testament refers to the future or the eschatological reward, the reward at the end of time, where the fullness of God will be made manifest. The poor that the Beatitude talks of should be read in the context of God's special care for the poor, people recognised as a gift. The kingdom of heaven refers to God's reign or his sovereignty, and the term is a Jewish substitute for God. Those mourners who are mentioned in the second Beatitude, the background there is Isaiah 61, 2-3, where the prophet is to comfort all who mourn in Israel. And in the Isaiah context, the occasion is the destruction of the first temple in 587 BC. The third Beatitude for the meek mirrors the words of Psalm 37, verse 11. The meek shall possess the land and delight themselves in abundant prosperity. The Hebrew for meek is anoim, the poor in spirit. and the land is the gift of the whole world to the just. Those who hunger and thirst for righteousness again has a parallel in Psalm 107 in verses 5 and in verses 8 to 9. God is seen as satisfying the hungry and thirsty, and that refers first to God's justice and then to human relations and behaviours. It's a vindication of the just in the last judgment, again looking towards the end, the eschatological realisation of what it is to be a Christian. The merciful mirror those words from Proverbs in chapter 14, verse 21, and in chapter 17, verse 5. Blessing is a reward for kindness to the poor. Mercy is an attribute of God, who in turn desires mercy for human beings, and mercy can be obtained at the last judgment. The pure in heart, again a psalm background there, Psalm 24, verses 3 to 4. Those who ascend Mount Zion will be those with clean hands and pure hearts. The pure in heart are people of integrity, people of righteousness, seeing the God as the one who enables them to live their full potential. The peacemakers take up that notion, that Old Testament notion of shalom, the fullness of God's gifts. Following Jesus in the present demands an active pursuit of peace. The peacemakers will be invited to join the angels. Those who are persecuted for righteous sake echoes the fourth beatitude and prepares the demand for better righteousness. It reveals God's desire to be on the side of his people. Last week we introduced the American poet Denise Levertov. One of the interesting things about Levertov is that she came to faith as an adult. She spent quite a lot of her life as an agnostic, but she had a desire within her to find faith. And she was invited one evening to go to a classical music concert, and it wasn't a Beethoven concert or a Mozart concert, but it was a collection of classical pieces from different centuries. And she wasn't looking forward to it at all very much. However, she went along to the classical concert and she did enjoy it. And so she had an idea to write a poem based on the same kind of framework. And she wrote a poem called The Mass of the Day of Thomas Didymus, the Mass of Doubting Thomas. And she wrote her own Kyrie, her own Gloria, her own Credo, her own Sanctus Benedictus and Agnus Dei. I'm just going to read her Kyrie, and it might be something that you could reflect on during Lent, to write your own Kyrie and Gloria and Credo and Agnus Dei. Kyrie, Denise Levertov. O deep, unknown, guttering candle, beloved nugget lodged in the obscure hearts, that last regress, have mercy on us. We choose from the past, tearing morsels to feed pride or grievance. We live in terror of what we know. Death, death, and the world's death we imagine and cannot imagine. We who may be the first and the last witness. We live in terror of what we don't know, in terror of not knowing, of limitless, though without free falling, forever our dread sinks and sinks, or of the violent closure of all. Yet our hope lies in the unknowing, in our unknowing. O deep, remote, unknowing, O deep, unknown, have mercy on us. And finally, to say a word about our photographer this week, Sebastiano Salgado. We've 3 pictures coming up. The first one is of a child tea planter. Many parts of the world where young people have to work in the fields to help the economy of the family. So who are the poor in the world today, and how during this season of Lent can we respond to them? The second picture is one of Salgado's keynote pictures. It's a picture he took very early on in his career, and it was when there was the devastation, the famine, and the atrocities in Ethiopia, and refugees moved across the African continent. And the picture denotes refugees outside the Korum camp in Ethiopia. And then our final picture this week is a picture of women workers in Ecuador taking their work to sell at market. Thank you. You're invited to stop the video after each Beatitude comes up and to write your own reflection. At the end, there is a little clip of my own reflections on the Beatitudes. This is a child tea planter from Salgado's work on workers. This is an iconic picture from the Koran camp in Ethiopia.
Sermon on the Mount.
These are women taking their produce to market in Ecuador. This is Malawi, a lady making lunch for the nursery. A family, a local baker, welcomes a student from Scotland.
Open my heart to make justice a special gift I can give to others. Change the minds of leaders and of people to bring succour to the afflicted. Renew their hope and transform their anguish so that they may know they are a valued part of your kingdom. Blessed are the mourners. Bring new hope to those who mourn. Open up your gentle and merciful embrace so that they may experience you as a source of consolation. Bring fresh and new light to soothe their hearts so that they may gain new vision. Blessed are the meek. Make tenderness your special gift. Allow docility of heart. Temper the strong emotions that are destructive and often lead to conflict. Value meekness as a gift. Allow new vision to shine through the meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Know that you are rewarded for your goodness. Give courage so that the brave may witness to your gospel. Be a source of inspiration to the committed and enlighten the disheartened. Enable your grace to let new life flow. Blessed are the merciful. Come, O come, my people who are in need of healing. Open up the treasuries of God's love for all who are in need. Temper our words and action with your Spirit. Reveal afresh your divine mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart. Help us to achieve an honest, straightforward, genuine goodness, an openness to love and a capacity to forgive. Give us a desire to live a compassionate life. Strengthen us with a determination to reject what is false. Renew our commitment to all that helps mutual upbuilding.
Blessed are the peacemakers. Remove from us that hardness of heart that causes war, strife, and bloodshed. Help us to rediscover how to be peacemakers. Give us courage to be bridge builders. Give us fresh impetus to work for reconciliation and harmony, and so enable us to reconcile difference. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteous sake. Our world is a world of limits, a world of hatred, and a world of greed. Help us to change that world, to purify and distill it, so that your saving truth may touch our hearts, and hearts can be changed. Open our minds and hearts, that they may enjoy the eternal beatitude of shalom with God. And finally, the three Abrahamic faiths are witnessed to in the word Jerusalem.